Heyo, welcome to our channel. Buckle up cause it is adventure time. It's an extraordinary series that seems like a burst of colors and fantastical characters right out of the most mind-boggling dream. But don't be fooled by its whimsy, as Adventure Time is a cartoon with much deeper tones intertwined with phenomenal theories, a beyond compelling timeline, and an amazing character background that can even captivate a full-grown adult. This is exactly what makes the show so complex. But fear not, because we're here to delve into all this colorful thickness together. Adventure Time follows the story of Finn, a brave human boy, and Jake, his shape-shifting dog buddy. Together they explore the enchanting Land of Ooo, which is actually a post-apocalyptic world. Yep, you heard me right. The genius behind Adventure Time, Pendleton Ward, actually revealed that the Land of Ooo is in fact a haunting reflection of our own post-apocalyptic Earth. It emerged from the ashes of a cataclysmic event known as the Mushroom War, a global disaster that reshaped the very fabric of existence. And that is why you'll find the place filled with peculiar kingdoms, mutated creatures, and a crazy fusion of tech and magic. Though not much is known of the Mushroom War in its backstory, the event is explored through fragmented memories, flashbacks, and scattered references throughout the series. But perhaps the best way would be to start with the elementals. The elementals are the embodiments of the four elements, but not what you thought. It's fire, ice, candy, and slime. Before the Mushroom War, the world was much like our present society. In that time, the ice elemental is reborn named Patience. She and the other elementals of the modern generation discover their powers and eventually find one another. Although their powers are very weak, the elementals meet up every once in a while for coffee. Despite the weakness of their magic, they begin to see visions of an impending cataclysm. However, Miss Patience refuses to fall to the war and seeks a way to survive it. Despite the other elementals disagreeing with her, she ignores their objections and freezes herself underwater, where she waits out the approaching disaster. Patience is then seen making a comeback later on in the series.
So I went out alone and froze myself. And all of you bit it.
Nevertheless, the Mushroom War breaks out after the culmination of issues in the human world, and it ended with a mushroom bomb being dropped on what was once America, awakening the Lich and ending most of the life on Earth. Now hold on, because the Lich is a significant dude in the series, so stay with us as we dive into this guy too. Despite the widespread belief that the Mushroom War annihilated all life, it was widely accepted that Finn was the sole human survivor in the Land of Ooo. Until, that is, evidence emerged in the series proving otherwise. This leads us to the intriguing question of who Finn and Jake truly are, the central figures in our story. Well, Finn is a human of the Land of Ooo, a young boy that was taken in by Jake's parents, Joshua and Margaret. Finn's past is later explored in the series, revealing his biological parents, Martin and Minerva. Poor Martin was chased out by an old foe, only to get unfortunately attacked and separated from little Finn, who ended up in the Land of Ooo. Finn was raised alongside Jake and his brother Jermaine. However, Jermaine seems to have disappeared, leaving the two bros as the iconic duo of Adventure Time. Meanwhile, Jake is a peculiar shape-shifting dog with his own little wacky story. Jake was conceived when his parents were on an investigation tracking down a shape-shifting creature. Only poor Joshua got bit on the head by it and developed a childbearing pustule. Oh, that's gross. But anyways, Jake was later born from the pustule as a tiny puppy with bendy powers. It's even revealed that Jake has a far deeper biological connection with the shape-shifting creature that he even doesn't know of himself.
I don't know. They never told me.
And we see the creature now named Warren Ampersand, who returns later in the series and meets Jake. Nevertheless, Jake and his stretchy, bendy abilities come handy for Finn throughout their adventures and while faring with several of their nemesis. Speaking of nemesis, one of them and the main antagonist is the Ice King. Originally, the old man is shown as a humorously over-the-top villain trying to kidnap Princess Bubblegum and various other princesses on a regular basis. Yeah, a total wacko creep. But the character is soon revealed to be a misunderstood old man suffering from loneliness and memory loss. Ice King is actually one of the few survivors of the Mushroom War. Before the war, he was an ordinary human named Simon Petrikov, studying to be an antiquarian and even had a fiancée, Betty Groff, that he called his princess. Until all was lost when he came across an antique crown that disheveled him so much that he literally scared off his fiancée and slowly morphed into his present psycho state under the influence of his evil crown. The crown is the very object that bestowed him with icy powers, making him the Ice King. At its core, Adventure Time is about the friendship and bond between Finn and Jake as they navigate through various adventures, meeting several characters that further become important within the series, some of which are Princess Bubblegum and the Vampire Queen Marceline. Two characters that are hinted with a lot of curious romantic chemistry, a classic case of enemies to lovers. But more on that later. So Marceline is a 1,000-year-old rebellious half-human, half-demon that became a vampire after being bitten by the Vampire King. Yikes, a lot to take in, I know, but Marceline was not always this way. Pre-Mushroom War, she lived as a half-human and half-demon with her mom who was sick, and once she started succumbing to her illness, she sent Marceline off to survive on her own. This is where she meets the future Ice King Simon as well. He had saved the little girl and the two had become quite close until their separation once Simon started descending into madness. However, Simon did reunite Marceline with her father, who she didn't get along well with, and once again went her own way. After this, Marceline roamed the Land of Ooo until she befriended a tribe of humans and became their ally. Marceline started slaying the ferocious vampires and was even able to absorb their abilities because of her demonic powers. During this time, she came face to face with the Vampire King and was bitten by him. Although she slayed him, in the end, Marceline emerged as the last vampire in the Land of Ooo. She first emerged in the series as an annoying nemesis kicking Finn and Jake out of their house, and this is where we see the start of her and Bubblegum's story. Once Marceline kicked the boys out, Bubblegum had tried helping them. However, Marceline revealed she was lonely, eventually causing the three of them to become friends, often seen together on various adventures. Now with that, let's get to the origin story of Princess Bubblegum, or Bonnie Belle, the ruler of the Candy Kingdom and a scientific genius. Basically, she got separated from a massive hive of pink gum called Mother Gum sometime after the Mushroom War. She wasn't the only one though, her brother Nettie also dropped with her. Little Bubblegum was of extreme intelligence and is seen scavenging through post-apocalyptic Land of Ooo, developing intelligence, feelings, and independent thought. That is when she started feeling lonely and created her first candy people, her Uncle Gumbolt along with Aunt Lolly and Cousin Chickle. But that proved to be a mistake when the three started planning to get rid of her. That's because Bubblegum had opposed the idea of making a candy kingdom. In his greed, Gumbolt, using a magic serum, turned Aunt Lolly and Chickle into simple candy people, but his victory didn't last long. Once he tried the same on Bubblegum, the tables flipped and Bubblegum managed to turn Gumbolt into a simple-minded punch bowl instead. She then declared herself the Bubblegum Princess. In the following years, we see Princess Bubblegum create more simple-minded candy people to avoid any complications, as well as many inventions that aid Finn and Jake on their adventures. She is shown as a largely antisocial person absorbed in her scientific work that often serves the Land of Ooo and its people. Coming back to Marceline and Bubblegum romantic chemistry, also named the Bubbline ship by the fans, we've got a lot to unpack here. From the very beginning of the series, Princess Bonnie Belle Bubblegum and Marceline made an odd but intriguing pair. Their unique styles, looks, and outlooks on life made them seem like total opposites. Throughout the series, we see the two fighting and tussling, like when it is revealed that Princess Bubblegum has been keeping Marceline's treasured stuffed animal, Hambo. But this is also where the excitement begins. In Season 3, a sneaky villain called the Door Lord snatched away precious items that meant the world to our beloved characters. He sealed himself behind a door that would only budge for a genuine band's song. Of course, Marceline and Bubblegum found themselves caught up in a massive fight. Sparks flew, emotions ran high, and tensions reached their peak. But then something incredible happened. Marceline, moved by her heart's desire, belted out the heartfelt ballad that almost cracked open the stubborn door. But what's even more exciting is that those lyrics ignited the birth of the legendary Bubbline ship. Eventually, everyone's treasured belongings were returned, including a rock shirt that was assumed to be Marceline's. However, surprise surprise, it actually belonged to Bubblegum, a special gift given by Marceline years ago. This small gesture threw fandom into a tizzy, creating the groundwork for a relationship that many assumed will never be. Pendleton Ward and the show's writers intentionally left the romantic nature of Marceline and Princess Bubblegum's relationship ambiguous, allowing viewers to form their own interpretations and theories. Many theorize that Marceline and Bubblegum have met in the past given their curious on and off chemistry, and ahoy, the creators did listen to us. In a special episode, Obsidian, Marceline and Bubblegum are shown living together in a full-blown relationship. The episode also confirms that they had previously been in a relationship, and a breakup is shown through flashbacks. And it also explains the origins of Bubblegum's rock shirt, showing Marceline taking it off during her concert and throwing it at a blushing Bubblegum in the audience. Sadly, the two break up, and it's not until the series finale of Adventure Time that we see Marceline and Bubblegum express their romantic feelings for one another, and even share a kiss, becoming a happy couple forever. Well, another one of minor characters that are of importance is the handy gadget BMO, often seen by the side of Finn and Jake and accompanying them on their journeys. This little guy looks like a gaming console, and don't get me wrong, it actually is, but it's far more than just a video gaming console. It can practically morph into any gadget or appliance that Finn and Jake might need. The little guy is loyal, trusting, and helpful robot who is quite protective of Finn and Jake. So much so that it even cried when Finn shaved his head. But BMO also cries when Jake refuses to invite his idol Morty Rogers to dinner, presenting BMO as quite a childlike personality with a twist of weirdness. As a proof, we even see Finn saying that BMO does weird things when no one is around. Fair enough, since BMO once talked to its own reflection in the mirror, naming it Football, and pretended to be a little living boy. Ha, adorable. Nevertheless, BMO is very protective of Finn and Jake, and even declares that he would spill blood if someone dared to hurt Finn. His protective nature is seen when he refuses to let Finn and Jake enter a possibly dangerous video game. And not just this, he even often tries to balance the relationship and friendship between the two. Basically, the little console is a total goody two-shoes. Though classically BMO declares to have no emotions as a robot, his crying and caring for his friends tell a totally different story, and in many episodes he's seen expressing quite emotionally intelligent thoughts and opinions. In short, he's a good little pal to Finn and Jake by being their comic relief as well as warning them from danger. With few good pals like BMO, Finn and Jake face a greater nemesis than the Ice King. That brings us to one of the most powerful antagonists that Finn and Jake had to face. The one and only, the Lich. If the Lich is to be described in a few words, it's all the evil in the world. It was there before time, and it was the root cause of all major ills that took place in Adventure Time, and even before the Land of Ooo came into being. The gnarly looking wretched evil being is a total embodiment of desire to destroy and hurt. His history starts way before the Mushroom War ever happened. The first clue of Lich's existence comes when his essence is transferred to a catalyst comet whose task was to kill all living beings on Earth. In Adventure Time, the Catalyst Comet is a massive comet that hits the Earth every 1,000 years. It's revealed that this comet has hit and brought destruction with it several times, always bringing some kind of agent of change. The comet seen in the series has a striking resemblance to the Lich, as evidenced by its green coloration and horn-like flames. Plus, it's even implied to have caused the KT extinction event that killed the dinosaurs. However, it's not just the dinosaurs that are taken out. Upon its impact, the comet even took out the ice elemental before Patience Evergreen had known that the oncoming comet would unleash destruction, and is revealed to be the creator of the Ice Crown, which he created to prevent the catastrophe. The crown was supposed to grant its wearer's deepest wish, but the idea was a nay for his fellow elementals, reasoning that its power would cause irreparable damage to existence. Well, not sure about that, but it did make Simon go cray-cray. Nevertheless, the Catalyst Comet is the first sign of existence of the Lich that made an appearance on the Earth, but it's not until the mushroom bomb detonating that the Lich is finally unleashed onto the world. It's even believed that the Mushroom War was the culmination of the evil manifestation of the Lich. One of the fans theorized that the Lich is not an evil mage or necromancer, he is simply a program designed to kill. This is supported by when the MAD bomb is dropped, causing the mushroom blast. The color of its nuclear waste is the same or similar shade of the demonic wishing eye that the Ice King wears. Someone had wished for a bomb that was capable of destroying all life in an effort to deter all warfare, giving birth to the Lich. However, the Lich wasn't the only Catalyst Comet seen in the series. There are several others like the Yellow Catalyst Comet, whose power a cosmic deity called Orgalor tried to absorb, for which it was banished to the world, where it's reincarnated as the tiny little penguin Gunter, becoming a personal assistant to the Ice King. Another good type of Catalyst Comet is shown as the reincarnation of Finn himself. Like the green Catalyst Comet carrying the essence of evil, the Lich, the blue Catalyst Comet carried the essence of good, which is Finn. During or shortly after the end of the Great Mushroom War, the blue Catalyst Comet strikes the Earth and leaves behind its agent of change, which initially takes the form of a butterfly. The butterfly will eventually be reincarnated as Finn. Nevertheless, the Mushroom War is not the end of Lich, and the next time it pops up on the timeline is when Faring Billy. Billy is a great hero of the Land of Ooo, who becomes a role model to many aspiring adventurers, including Finn. After spending nearly 1,000 years gathering his powers following the Great Mushroom War, the Lich makes his first attempt to end all life. Billy and the Lich battle at the Lich's Well of Power and end up taking the fight to the Candy Kingdom. The Lich loses one of his horns in the battle and is struck down by Billy's legendary gauntlet. He becomes imprisoned in amber within the canopy of Nettie's tree, still alive and still hungry for destruction. Bubblegum guards the tree for years to come to prevent his escape. Even though Billy goes down in history as having cast down the Lich, for some reason he gives up his heroism and retreats into himself, becoming a pacifist recluse. It's possible that he is ashamed of his inability to end the Lich for good. But that is not the end of it. It is shown that Princess Bubblegum had anticipated the Lich will free itself soon. She had a vision of the Lich while meditating and took Finn and Jake to see Amber Prison where the Lich is being held. While Bubblegum, Finn, and Jake are all protected from the Lich's telepathic powers by Bubblegum's gems of power, he was able to possess a snail that was riding on Finn's backpack. The darn snail cracks the amber, and to Bubblegum's horror, the Lich seeps through the crack and escapes into the world. He makes a mad dash for his Well of Power, with Finn and Jake in hot pursuit. Finn is armed with the gauntlet of Billy and a sweater knitted for him by Bubblegum. As they arrive at the Well of Power, Finn battles the Lich. However, the gauntlet is completely ineffective, but the sweater is able to defeat him. The Lich's physical form is destroyed. All appears to be resolved until Ice King accidentally drops the princess into the well. Princess Bubblegum is rushed back to the Candy Kingdom, but Finn and Jake soon realize that she is possessed by the Lich. This time, with the Ice King's help, they defeat the Lich for the second time, but almost kill Princess Bubblegum by shattering her possessed body into many pieces.
Dude.
The Lich, meanwhile, retreats to his snail form and begins to fabricate a new plan. In the new plan, he recruits a bear and tricks Finn by pretending to be a wannabe hero and asks for the Enchiridion, a book with superior knowledge. With the help of it, the wretched existence once again regains its physical form and murders Billy to wear his skin as a disguise. Damn, that's too grim. He tricks Finn and Jake into helping him collect the gems of power and attaches the jewels to the book's cover, finally creating a portal to the multiverse and ultimately the time room, the domain of the wish-giving entity Prismo. Obviously, the Lich wishes for the destruction of all life, and he is transported to his own wish-altered reality where that wish has come true. But the Lich's scheme ultimately fails when Jake befriends Prismo and with his help makes a wish that overwrites Lich's wish, destroying his alternate reality and trapping him for good again as he waits for another opportunity. In the end, the Lich kills Prismo's physical body, but having rotted away most of Bill's skin, the poor evil idiot is turned into a massive harmless baby. In the series finale, we see an older, massive sweet pea roaming in Ooo. Nevertheless, as the series advances, we see more and more characters' developments and even family expansions. So here comes a wonderful piece of information. Jake has a girlfriend, a beautiful rainbow raincorn, Lady Rain. She is seen speaking only in Korean and often has a translator attached that helps her translate to English. Lady Rain was originally Princess Bubblegum's royal steed, best friend, and companion. And while she remains that way with the princess, her relationship with Jake is quite apparent. Their mingling is first shown in a short where Jake and Lady Raincorn are flirting and sharing interests. At the beginning of Adventure Time, she's shown being playfully chased by Jake, and later they both seem to very much enjoy playing 7 Minutes in Heaven, which, by the way, if you don't know, is a game where two people are locked in a closet together to kiss for 7 minutes. Later on in the series, Jake and Lady Raincorn have a very good time on a swan ride at a theme park named Thrashland. After Finn and Jake go missing for 3 weeks, Princess Bubblegum and Lady Rainicorn set out on a mission to rescue them. Luckily, they managed to rescue them, and that's when Lady Rainicorn reveals to Jake that the reason she was so worried about his disappearance was because she is pregnant with their hybrid children.
Puppies?
Boom! Lady gives birth to a litter of 5 pups: Charlie, TV, Viola, Kim Kil-wan, and Jake Jr. Jake is initially overprotective of their children and chooses to strictly follow his mother's childcare manual rather than allowing them to have their own freedom to explore and discover. His protectiveness is especially pointless given that the pups mature at an extremely rapid rate and are effectively adults after just 1 day of life. However, at one point, Jake ends up swinging to the complete opposite and becomes a neglectful parent. TV claims during the pup's first birthday party that he has only met his father twice. Jake is also 3 hours late for the party and forgets to bring presents for any of his children. Nevertheless, all of the pups go on to establish their own unique lives, and each develops unique powers derived from the abilities of their parents. They all seem to share the basic powers of teleportation and recolorization, and most of them can fly. Meanwhile, Finn grows up and faces the challenges of being a teenager while figuring out the complexities of life. The conflicts he faces become more complicated as the series goes on, pushing Finn to become more mature. Finn was for a long time the only confirmed human in the Land of Ooo, to the point where he had an epithet, the Human, and was referred to by many as Finn the Human. As said by Lady Rainicorn's dad, humans were thought to be extinct. This made Finn feel sad and reflective. But then he meets Susan Strong, a member of a mutant tribe called Human. It is hinted that Susan Strong is unlike the rest of her tribe and may potentially be another human. Later on, Susan even removes her hat and reveals she is a human with a device on her head, making her possibly some sort of cyborg. But it is unknown if Finn knew about this. However, once the ritual changes Ice King back into Simon, he asks for the help of Marceline, Finn, and Jake to recontact him to his long-lost fiancée, Betty, in the past so he can tell her he's sorry for everything he has done. And with the arrival of Betty, Finn is no longer the last confirmed human. It is shown that Betty has survived the traveling through time pre-Mushroom War and effectively skipping the whole ordeal. Later on the series, Finn even develops the first non-one-sided relationship potential with a huntress wizard. Following the failures of his previous romantic endeavors, Finn isn't sure whether or not he should rush into another relationship. It only helps her as a feat of heroism. But once they open up to each other, they discover that they are actually in love, even sharing a kiss. Only it all comes to a dead end when Huntress Wizard claims that love is restrictive and prevents people from fulfilling their potential. However, despite claiming that their relationship wouldn't work out, Huntress Wizard appears to retain an interest in Finn. Nevertheless, in the early seasons of the series, Finn is enthusiastic and readily resorts to violence to settle conflict, but by the end of the series, Finn is much more reserved. As the series reaches its season finale, there are two significant events that take place: the return of Uncle Gumbolt and the arrival of the devastating Gulp. Basically, similar to the elementals, there is also one anti-elemental known as the Lumps. In the series, we see an elemental spell casted by patients all over the Land of Ooo. The spell literally transforms the inhabitants of Ooo into their respective elemental forms, altering their personalities and causing chaos throughout the land. However, Finn and Jake set out on a journey to resolve this problem, and that's when the lumpy space princess realizes that she possesses anti-elemental lumps within her. These lumps have the ability to counteract the elemental magic and restore balance to Ooo, but when Lumpy reverts Ooo back to normal, it also reverts back Uncle Gumbolt, Aunt Lolly, and Cousin Chickle to their original selves. And of course, the annoying trio resumes their plans that Princess Bubblegum has put an end to 800 years ago. This time, Uncle Gumbolt got his victory and created his very own candy city. The news soon reached Bubblegum, and she was definitely not happy with it. Frustrated, Bubblegum believes that a full-fledged war is the only answer to defeat her uncle. Only Finn, who has now grown much more mature, doesn't really like this idea. As the Candy Kingdom prepares for war, Finn and Jake decide to confront Gumbolt to call off the war. But once a traitor, always a traitor. And Gumbolt, Lolly, and Chickle trick Finn and Jake into believing that Gumbaldia and the Candy Kingdom could coexist. They then splashed Finn and Jake with a celebration bucket filled with some sort of glitter juice and told the duo to give Bonibel a big hug. But the trick was caught and Bubblegum wiped them off with a towel, and it wasn't long before she realized it was all her uncle's doing. Furious, she formally declared war on Gumbaldia. In a last attempt, Finn once again asks Bubblegum to give Gumbolt a last chance to surrender, and using a nightmare juice puts all of them in a slumber. In the dream realm, Bubble apologizes to Gumbolt for not accepting his view, but the wretched Candyman fake accepts the apology and fully intends to betray her once again. Only his luck ran out, and he trips into his own happy juice, turning back into the punch bowl. Aunt Lolly then accepts the peace treaty in his place, and Princess Bubblegum proclaims that the two kingdoms shall live in harmony. Though this war remained unsought thanks to all the lucky marbles, the peace doesn't last long as they are all interrupted by the sudden arrival of Gulp. While the armies were wrapping up, a crazy portal appeared in the sky above the canyon. Out popped Normal Man, followed by the giant chaos monster Gulp. And guess what? Betty had a wild plan up her sleeve. She wanted to use Gulp's power to free Simon from the crown's curse once and for all. But just as she was casting the spell, Gulp went on a rampage. The Gumbaldian soldiers got mixed up in the chaos and turned into a freaky monster, causing mayhem for everyone. Some of the bad guys ran away, but Aunt Lolly stayed behind to fight alongside Princess Bubblegum and her buddies. They give it their all, but even their combined forces couldn't defeat the monster. The Gumball Guardians, who had been loyal for ages, got wrecked. One was smashed open and the other transformed into another monster. Yikes. Meanwhile, Normal Man convinced Ice King to talk to Betty and stop her from casting the spell. They flew up to Betty's flying carpet where they found her connected to Maya with jumper cables. Ice King, being his usual clueless self, didn't even recognize Betty. That made her super mad and her anger woke up Maya. But the explosion that followed didn't stop there. It sent Ice King and Betty tumbling into Gulp's mouth, and Finn jumped in to save them. Inside Gulp's belly, things got even crazier. Finn lost his bionic arm, Betty returned to her normal self, and Ice King transformed back into Simon Petrikov. The crown seemed to deactivate, which made Betty happy for a moment as she and Simon shared a smooch. But their joy was short-lived because they only had minutes before they would be eaten by Gulp. Back on the battlefield, the Candy Kingdom and Gumbaldia were getting whooped. Jake tried his best to fight the monsters, but they were too strong. To Jake's surprise, BMO's singing repelled the monsters. Marceline and Bubblegum joined in, and they realized that harmony was the key. With BMO's catchy song and everyone's combined efforts, they managed to break through Gulp's tough skin and create an escape route for Finn and Simon. But Betty had a last-minute idea. She realized that the crown could grant a wish and tried to banish Gulp. Well, that didn't work out, but she wished for Simon's safety instead. Surprisingly, the crown merged Gulp's consciousness with Betty's, and they peacefully left Earth. Phew! Though the conflict was over, Simon was devastated to lose Betty once again. Poor guy. In the finale of Adventure Time, we get a peek into the future of Finn and Jake through a special episode called Together Again. Sadly, like all mortals, Finn and Jake eventually reach the end of their journey. Jake is the first to pass away, predicted by his daughter Charlie. The rest of Finn's life remains a mystery, but around 10 years later, we see him sporting a beard and a tattoo of Jake on his chest. This suggests that Jake has already passed on by this time. Finn continues to be close friends with Simon, Marceline, and Princess Bubblegum, going on adventures and battling evil monsters. As Finn grows older, he experiences the loss of more loved ones, but he leads a long and fulfilling life. Eventually, as an elderly Finn, it's time for him to join his brothers in the afterlife. He travels through various realms of the dead, meeting his deceased friends and family. In the 45th Dead World, he reunites with his parents Joshua Margaret and his brother Jermaine, whom he hasn't seen since they died when he was a child. However, Jake is still missing. Just when Finn starts to lose hope, he discovers that Jake is alive in the 50th Dead World. They joyfully reunite, and Jake, despite having achieved detachment from desires, remembers his bond with Finn and returns to his old self. Faced with a choice, Finn decides to be reincarnated once again. At first, Jake chooses to stay in the 50th Dead World, but he changes his mind at the last moment. Together, Finn and Jake prepare for their next lives, embracing the adventures that await them. So, this was the entire timeline of Adventure Time so far. If you enjoyed the video, drop us a like and comment down below your favorite moment. And if you want to see more awesome cartoons like this recapped on your feed, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to never miss an upload. With that said, we'll see you in the next one. Peace!